You've heard a lot about it. Maybe you've even read some of it. But do you know the full story of the Kama Sutra? It's easily the most famous of India's many, many books on sex and love, which together make up the Kama Sutra. But it's about more than just sex, although the sexual element is very, very, very thorough indeed. The 10 chapters about sexual positions include a few that are impossible to get yourself into without being able to twist around like a pretzel. By the way, I have no idea what Udemy, or however you're supposed to pronounce it, considers acceptable as far as so-called adult content. So I haven't included any of the more graphic illustrations here. Believe me, it took me a little bit of time to find one that I thought would be okay. But if you simply Google the Kama Sutra, which I strongly encourage you to do, you'll see why it so justly deserves its fame. But as I said, it's about more than sex for simple pleasure. It's a guide to happiness in marriage, and it treats sexual acts with a profound respect. In Indian philosophy, pleasure, sensuality, and emotional fulfillment, which are together called kama, are a necessary part of achieving release from the endless cycle of death and rebirth. So, heterosex between married couples is a profoundly spiritual and even a religious experience. A very similar philosophy is also reflected in the Perfumed Garden of Sensual Delight, a 15th century Arabic text that also offers guidance on everything from pleasure to curing impotence to determining the gender of an unborn baby. I'm not sure why Sir Richard Burton says that it's unlike any other book of its kind, since he also translated the Kama Sutra, and shocked the Victorians. Unlike the Kama Sutra, though, the Perfumed Garden did, or does, contain chapters on homosexuality and pederasty, sex with children, which the 19th century English translator originally left out. Supposedly he was in the process of issuing a new translation when he died in 1890, but unfortunately we'll never know, because his proper Victorian wife burnt the manuscript. The Chinese Taoist philosophy is made up of 2 opposing yet complementary principles that you're probably familiar with, although maybe not in a sexual context. There is yin, which represents the passive, the receptive, and the so-called feminine. So again, we see that women are meant to be passive recipients of sex, not directly participating in their own pleasure with any agency. There is also yang, of course, which is active, assertive, and masculine. So the physical joining of yin and yang is seen as a joining of energy, or of essences, which is necessary for achieving spiritual balance. The Ming Dynasty in particular celebrated this harmonious balance through an endless series of erotic poems, and as you can see, a lot of sexy woodblock illustrations. It's not difficult to find more about this on the internet. In fact, Tony Barnstone has a book of erotic Chinese poems that he's translated. So you can have fun checking those out as well. You can tell people it's research.